Before I start off, I just want a recap of what your highlights have been today. Just like maybe three people, like something that you never knew that AI could do for you in education. And specifically, this is in cosmetology. So anyone who wants to volunteer to share like one or two insights that they have learned today. Josephine, you look like you want to say something, but you also want to say something. And then please mention your name so I remember, and then what you've learned.
Okay, I'm Tabi. Today I've learned about AI. Rather, it's helping much in education, and especially when it comes to research. But for it to work effectively, you have to instruct it using engineering tool, whereby you give specific information, the detail that you want to apply for this. So you cannot just give random information. You have to be specific, with the time frame, and with the topic that you wanted to give.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's. So Tabitha, you've mentioned that one insight that you've learned is how you can use AI for research and brainstorming,
Yes.
but more in particular the prompting context.
That's
right?
Mm.
Okay, that's good. Please taking notes. Anyone else? Yes, Catherine.
What I have learned about AI,
Yeah.
you don't rely on it wholesomely. It's good to compare with whatever it has given you. And maybe if you have the textbook, you can refer whatever it has given you, whether it's the right content that is in the textbook that you're referring from.
Okay, so you've learned that whatever output you get from AI is that you need verification.
Yeah.
But verification is from textbooks.
Maybe you can use a textbook, maybe a photo.
Okay?
You needed it to design it for you.
Yeah. I'm not getting that quite clearly because, give me an example. Do you understand? By that, you understand context? Do you mean if you put a unit in, for example, like shampoo for natural hair, to give you a lesson plan, are you saying that you have to verify that output or content with something like a textbook?
Yeah.
Okay. It comes back to also what she was saying. It's all connected in terms of the context of a prompt and what sources you're actually giving that prompt to give your outputs. Okay, I pause there because sometimes you might not need the textbook for verification, but the links that you're actually using online, in terms of the textbook you're using like the online, correct? And maybe if it's open source, right? It's not proprietary that you're uploading it. You can actually upload it to use the chat, which is working with a large language model in the background to give you outputs, context that you'll be referencing this to give you a lesson plan or a quiz. You see that?
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily the right from how anyone educator works. I do some training around AI, and I see it takes a lot of time to actually plan, teach large cohorts. So teaching for like 30, 50, 100 students is a lot, right? Who was telling me about the marking? Was you, Felista? Oh, it was you. Name? Veronica, yeah. Veronica was telling me about CBAT and how you have the back end to help you in terms of uploading assessments. But you said you actually do marked assessments and then, yeah. So nowadays, AI can actually automate that for you. Are you aware? You are aware? You're not aware? So AI can actually automate that for you, but it's actually not, it doesn't apply to all platforms, right? Because the platform that you use has to have that feature. Yes, Sam?
Some information that you're not supposed to disclose.
Yes.
For example, maybe you're handling a client and you're doing some analysis you've gotten, you want to find out something, you shouldn't include their personal information, even how their face should not appear, for their confidentiality.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's touching on the aspect of the data protection, privacy that you have. I mean, it's a double-edged sword because you need that content. Sometimes, like if you're doing skin analysis, you're going to give your visual of your face, right? Because the machine needs to tell you this is what's the diagnosis, this is the product recommendations to the beauty consultant. So in some cases, if the trainee or if the client has given you consent to use their data, whatever form, text, image, any form, whatever it is, then you can actually upload it to the technology that you're using, provided it's technology within like your institution or within a spa or a salon. If you're using it for your own personal research or personal gain, then in some cases like that you have to do what we call anonymize the data or redact the data. Meaning if you're called Veronica and you're called Catherine, age XX, you'll just be called like VCH. You're getting, so people will not know it's actually you. So those are some of the things that you can actually use when it comes to personal research. But if it's organizational context, then there are some what we call guardrails that will be put up and how you deal with data within AI, whether it's ChatGPT, or whether it's Claude, or whether it's Gemini, and others, DeepSeek and all. Most people do, what do? They paste data directly into the chat. How many of you have done that? Yes, all of us have done that. Just put your hand up. How many of you have done that? Most people have done that, right? So those are the practices that you need to kind of, like it's a habit that you build, so you have to recalibrate that habit, right? And say, okay, if I need to upload this data and I want these specific outputs, what format is the most applicable? An Excel sheet which has anonymized first and last names, right? The rest of the data can stay, but you don't know who the person is, right?
AI cannot replace me.
Yeah.
AI cannot do technical skills.
Yeah.
AI gathers data
Yeah.
from all the ways to give us the information.
Oh.
To give us, the AI has a lot of data from different ways and sources
Yeah.
to give us the information depending on what you ask it.
Okay. All right. Now, the technical skills that you do have, maybe now, but maybe not in another 5 years, you probably might be able to do some of the technical skills in the cosmetology world with the way the world of hardware and AI is accelerating. That's like what we call physical AI, where robots and other things are coming to play. Skincare analyzers, robots, augmented reality that can analyze your skin, and actually technology is evolving. So saying AI will not replace you is okay, but the question you need to ask yourself, how does AI complement, like shift that mindset and say, how does AI complement what I do? Because if you have the present or the premise that AI will not replace me, you'll always be like, kind of like also you'll build some level of defense towards it, right? So the question you ask, as an educator, this is the value prop I can give as an educator in cosmetology, a trainer, educator, assessor, anything on that spectrum. And then what you need to do is you need to map out what your workflow in the training world looks like. It is important that you map out your workflow. What is your workflow? I prepare lessons, from lessons I do this. Then you ask in that workflow, what part can AI automate and take away from it? Yeah? If it can be automated. But I always tell people, there's a class I give, it's called AI Quick Wins for Leaders. It's exactly for your type of, for this type of audience, for anyone to use AI in their day-to-day work. You don't have to be technical, non-tech. And the first thing I tell everyone is before you use the AI, can you do it yourself? Because we're talking a lot about automation and agents and things like that. Like ask everyone, can you do it? Because if you tell the AI to do it and it gets stuck, then you blame the AI, oh, AI is not working. So I tell anyone who's going to use AI, write down the things why you're using AI. You're using AI too. I'm using AI too. I need an answer from anyone. I use AI to do X because of.
Yeah.
Give me an example. And something that you actually do, not something like from the start. Yes.
I use.
Let's have her and then what somebody who's not spoken. Huh? Yes.
You should tell it, prepare a learning plan for
Not we, you.
prepare a learning plan for this and this unit. You name the unit. Yeah.
Okay. What you've explained is a prompt, right? So I want to take you a notch up. The prompt is an idea of what you want. You want to prepare a unit using this reference material to give you a lesson plan, an output, whether it's a visual output of slides or a written script that you can actually give around the class, right? That's context, basic instructions, and output. That's a prompt. But what's your workflow? You see, before you even go, you're going to the doing already. Go to the strategy. AI needs a strategy. Anyone in AI, you need a strategy of why you're using the AI. And the strategy for you is teaching. Now, if you go down into the teaching in cosmetology, it's like, what are the things that you want to focus on and take away that you can use AI to help get your time back to do more creative thinking in class. Every single platform will give you tools that you can use. But then, a person with an AI strategy and how they're going to execute is more powerful than somebody who knows 10 tools. Are you aware of that? Yeah? So, what I want you to think about is what is your AI strategy in cosmetology. Each of you should have a workflow. People can have 3 or 4 or 5 workflows. Let me take my example, for example. I run Linton's Foundation. A lot of the work I do is research for grants, proposal writing, and then a lot of monitoring and evaluation of current projects. All those things are administrative and operational. So once I actually say like these are grants in tiers and focus areas that I can actually write a workflow for, I can actually automate that process of running an automation either in ChatGPT or Claude or any other tool that you can have to actually like do the research for me. So I gain back 5 hours of my week because I used to do that like 1 hour per day. So now I have a skills file. Let me not go too technical, but I've written a skills file in Claude that it's triggered at the end of the day. In the next morning, it gives me a list of all grants that are open in education, empowerment, and all. Then the next phase that I am doing right now, because I've written proposals in a way that I want the Linton's Foundation brand. So if you actually go in, look at that, and give me a draft, and then store it in my Google Drive and Doc, and then I refer to it. And now this is where I call verification. Because I know my workflow, I know what I want, the grant aligns with my criteria. This is where I come for verification, to see, okay, this grant, is it valid? Is it really open? Because there are a lot of scams, you told me, right? Then once I go in, now this is where I do the verification, and be like, yeah, this is a grant I want to send, this is a deadline. You see how many hours I've reduced?
Yeah.
So I want you to flip that back. What do you do as an educator? You train, you prepare lesson plans, you write assessments, you mark assessments, you go to practicals, do all that. Write a workflow for that. What does your work, and then categorize your workflows. Your workflows for education in class theory training versus practical training. What does a workflow look like? And if you really need to know like what a workflow looks like, on the group I can share what a workflow looks like. Then which tools to use in between, right? Some of you are using ChatGPT, some of you are using Claude, some of you are using Gemini, you're using Manus. Manus is very good for brainstorming. You know that, right? The tools, you need to know how they work. as well. So you need to know what tool works for you and what it's relevant for. ChatGPT for a lot of people is very popular. A lot of people use it for brainstorming and writing, right? Gemini has evolved in the last couple of months. It's very good at articulating very clear outlines. Claude has become like a master, a very, very quick master to end to end. If I get your workflow as a cosmetology trainer, I can become an AI cosmetology trainer just using Claude. Like you can build an entire end-to-end for you, right? So I want you to see AI as a tool that will complement the work that you do to be able for you to function as a better educator for yourself and for your students. It gives you more creative ways to actually deliver training and education to your trainees. And I think that's what you want, right? Some of you want to venture into research, some of you want to venture into more apprenticeships, some of you want to do more training or trainers training. Make time for that. That's how AI can empower you. There are tools right now. You showed me an example of a tool that you're using, but that's a very basic Veronica technology tool. I want to see the AI component in that. Like, I would advocate for you to look at what I have seen. Claude has Claude for Education right now. ChatGPT is coming out, but I think the most advanced education tools I've seen is Google, Gemini for Education, right? Google has been providing this service for a very long time for educational institutions. They actually have, I think for more than 10 years, they have a package for education institutions where you don't have to pay. They actually prorate the cost per user, right? After this training, you should be influencers in your organization of how technology and AI can help you, but not take over. So I'm not promoting any tools, but I've actually seen Gemini has a free education plan for a student for 1 year of how they can use AI in their day-to-day work. Now that's for any industry and every student. How it's implemented actually depends on how you use it as a trainer, because a student will not just start using a tool. You influence students, right? So these students use you using Gemini or any other tool to kind of like learn better or learn faster. They probably would be interested in experimenting with this. Now I come to Andy Nicole. I've been running, about 2 months ago, I ran some demo sessions. So I got Andy Nicole and another trainer, maybe 2 or 3 trainers to actually showcase what have you been using in the past and how can you use it better. And in this case, we use Google Classroom, which Andy Nicole has been using in the past. Now, Google Classroom has actually accelerated further. You actually need a Gmail address, by the way. You can use Google Classroom. Google Classroom has accelerated even further to actually providing you a whole dashboard of actually preparing a lesson plan by just using a prompt. So now this is where prompts come in. You have to be very specific with your context. And using this type of tools is where it can actually help you, like personally, for your lesson plans. If you have a Gmail address, you can actually have those lesson plans, download them, and actually like now start uploading them to Veronica, to the online platform, like if it's Moodle that you use or CBAT that you use, you start uploading. So it makes work a little easier. Because I know what you do in the past. You have a Word document, you start writing. That's a lot of work, right? But now imagine that process is condensed. The 3-hour thing is just condensed, right? And please use AI smartly. Like don't use a chat and just tell me I want a lesson plan, right? And then most people, Kenyans, refine. That's a word we use a lot, right? Put in the chat, refine. Prompt engineering. Calvin has taught you that today. Andy, yeah, she did a course on prompt engineering last year, right? So, I mean, like, apply prompts in a very specific way. If you're a very analytical and logical thinker, let me tell you, writing a prompt is not going to be hard. And then you can even ask the AI to write a prompt for you. You know that, right? You can tell the AI, I need this, please clarify what kind of a problem, but give it as much information so you can make a good decision. One of you said that. Who said that? Yeah? Yeah, give it as much information for it to become smart. You're training it, in other words, right? You're training it. So, what else? What else would you like to hear? Because I'm just here to give you more of inspiration and motivational aspects of what you can do. Oh yeah, people learn differently, you know that. I learn a lot by listening. So I have actually taken some of my content and converted it to an audio file. Now, a tool that most people don't use and the most powerful research tool to aid is what we call Gemini LM. It used to be called Notebook LLM in the past, but it's now called Gemini LM, right?
Yes.
Gemini LM. It's an interface. It's a very super interesting. Open it up, and I think it's actually free.
Yes, it is.
It's actually free in your Gmail. You don't have to pay for Gmail Pro, but if you pay for Gmail Pro, you get a lot of access to like the AI Studio now, which is a little more advanced, but can be used by non-tech users like yourself. Gemini LM can actually take like a lot of text, I think up to 20 documents, and summarize for you in an audio file. It can create an infographic for you. It can even create a presentation for you. Now this is where I want to show you how powerful it is. Remember I told you have a textbook. Then you want to confirm the generation of what you put to the textbook. If you have the data rights to use that documentation, like I say, it's this one. This is about maybe a lesson plan, right? And it's converted to a PDF, and you want to generate slides. You can tell Gemini to use this PDF as a reference point to create your lesson plan, right? Give it the good prompt. There's a prompt inside there. I hope you open it and you see. There's a prompt inside there. Give this web prompt engineering now is very useful. You tell it, okay, using this content that's here, please generate a 15-minute slide presentation for my students to learn X, Y, Z. What is it that you want to learn from them? The way the model will think, it will think in a way that it's like, okay, you want them to learn the practical aspects of a consultation for Scout, right? And then after you do a consultation, what's the next step? If you tell it you want slides, it will actually give you that output. Now, what most people do is they take the final output as the final result and they go and present. So how many of you have seen emails that it has like, what you see is what you get?